Hola.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our channel. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties, but we got those straightened out. So I hope you are here today to learn about Panama, about the residency and the visa process. And today I have a special guest. She is my attorney from Panama, the immigration attorney, Kathyel Ferguson. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for
She,
inviting me.
She's with PTY Lawyers, and we're going to be posting the link to contact her so you can start your immigration progress to Panama. So,
Mhm.
with our delay, we're going to get right started. We're going to get started with the first question. And we have a list of common questions that people have wanted to know about their residency and immigration progress to Panama. So we'll be going through that. And if you joining us live and you have a question that we haven't answered, make sure you post that in the comments and we'll make sure we get to that too. All right. So the first question is, what are the main residency options currently available in Panama? And are any of these more popular than the others?
Well, first of all, thank you all for being here with us, and also for inviting me, Mrs. Mary. I'm very happy always to be, having this kind of conversations with you. Well, here in Panama, there are the mainly residency permits are the ones in regards with investments,
Mhm.
and the most popular right now also is the Pensionado Visa. We have many retirement people, especially from United States and Canada, uh, trying to apply for this residency permit because they are planning to come here to live, uh, you know, in sometimes all the year or half a half, and or enjoy their retirement in a better weather.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, let's go to the next one. What is the Friendly Nations visa, and has there been any changes to this visa?
Okay, the Friendly Nation visa is one of the favorite residency permits. It allows many countries around the world, mostly from Europe, North America, South America, and some of Asia, to apply for residency in Panama. And the main options through this residency permit is that you invest in Panama in a property,
Mm-hmm.
$200,000, or
Mm-hmm.
in a long-term deposit, the same amount, $200,000. This
Okay.
process um, have two stages. One, first you need to apply for a provisional residency of 2 years. And
Mm-hmm.
when these 2 years are going to expire, then you apply for the permanent residency. That means that you need to hold the investment at least for the 3 years that is going to take all the process until you get to that permanent residency, even if it is the investment in a property or in the
Mm-hmm.
long-term deposit in a bank here in Panama.
Okay. And we have a question, Kathy, about the. She says she obtained her Friendly Nation visa in 2022. This is from Jan. She says, however, I'm 60 and retired. Do I need to request a separate document to state that I'm retired so that I can get my retirement discounts in Panama?
No. Eh, in Panama, to receive the discounts as a jubilado, you
Mm-hmm.
have two options. One is that you apply for the Pensionado Visa, and the other is that it doesn't matter which residency permit you get,
Mm-hmm.
but if you get to the age that for women is 55 and for men is 60, if you are a permanent resident, with your permanent residency card, you can get
Mm-hmm.
the discounts that the retirement people receive here in Panama.
So, Jan, the answer would be no because you're already 60. So you
I
should be.
assume that that you already have a cédula that confirms that you are a permanent resident. That that confirm also your age, so you can get all the discounts and benefits as a jubilado.
Okay, Jan. So what she's saying is, if you have your e-cedula, which verifies your permanent residency, then you can get your jubilado discounts. All right.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's go to the next question here. Is what documents should people start preparing before coming to Panama?
Okay, it's important first of all have define which residency permit you will be using to apply for residency. But for example, a common requirement for all the process is that you will need a criminal report to be sure that your application will be accepted and approved. It should be a criminal report that doesn't show any offense, charge, arrested, because that can be a reason to not accept the application. Of
Right.
course, every case is different, but if you want to be 100% that your application will be accepted, the best is to have a clean criminal report.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
Okay.
if you decide, for example, that you will apply for the friendly nations visa, other requirement that you will need is a document that confirms your citizenship. It can be, for example, your driver's license, your ID from your country, and in the worst case that you don't have that kind of documents, also you can use a birth certificate that confirms that you are from the country of the passport that you will use to apply for the friendly nations visa. In the case of the pensionado visa, there are other requirements, but I think we will get them in another question.
Right. Okay. Do U.S. documents need apostles?
Well, all the documents that come from abroad needs to be legalized. The apostille is a kind of legalization.
Mm-hmm.
In Panama, we accept two ways or two methods of legalization. One is the apostille, that, for example, in the United States is prepared by the Secretary of State.
Mm-hmm.
And the other kind of legalization is through our consulates. In United States, for example, we have many consulates, but
Mm-hmm.
but in Europe, it works better the apostille. At the end, is the way that works better for you, that is easier, that it takes less time, it's less expensive. For example,
Right.
take the documents to the consulates, have an approximate cost of $30 per
Mm-hmm.
document.
Mm-hmm.
I think the apostille, depending on the state, is less expensive,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it takes more time because
Right.
the consulate, depending on the consulate, it can be in a few days, maybe a week,
Mm-hmm.
but I hear from clients that the apostille can take maybe in the best scenario a few days, but I hear also that a month, for example, to get an apostille. So it's important to make the investigation once you decide which residency program you want. Um for example, if you have a Panamanian consulate close, how long it will take to them to legalize the documents, or instead, if how long or which is the step for the Secretary of State. So that way you can be aware of how much time you need for that step that is mandatory for all the documents that you will use, criminal report,
Right.
pension letters, marriage certificate, birth certificates, anything needs to be legalized or apostille before you come to Panama.
Right. Okay. And our next question is, how long are the background checks and documents considered valid?
Well, if the document doesn't have an expiration date, the documents are valid for 6 months since the date of issue. But it's important to have in mind that is the date of issue of the document, not the apostille. So if you get for example, your FBI report today, May 25, but you apostille it in August, The important day is the one of today. So the document will be valid until November of this year, if you
Got
get
it.
it today.
Okay. And here is a question from one of our, what is the best place to get your FBI criminal report? I ordered one last year and it cost over $400. Wow. I started the process again now and I'm seeing them for $18 on the USICS site.
Well, to be honest, from us, um, as we don't live in the United States, it's complicated to know that. We know that if you are here in Panama, it can cost you that $400 or something like that because you are here. But if you are in United States, from other clients, I understand that they get them in their postal office. And also there are intermediaries,
Yes.
and you can get them in less than a week. And I think that it costs like $75 or,
Yeah.
never get to
I'll
$100.
I'll have a company that I use because I use it for both Panama and Portugal. And I'll
Okay.
put that in, I can't think of the name right now, but they're a company in right outside of DC in Virginia. And that's all they do. They do it for all of the countries. They're very well known and they get it back.
Okay.
They get it back sometimes within 48 hours. They're really fast, but they are
Mm-hmm.
approved. They're one of the third party companies that's approved with the FBI. And I'll put that in the description. I'm making a note to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have that information for you or another option for you.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, but those
Okay.
400 was very expensive.
Yes. Okay, here's another question. Can someone begin the residency process while already in Panama?
Well, it's possible, but it will be more expensive because, as we were talking, getting the documents from other country, it will be more expensive because, for example, you need to get the criminal report, for example, and also you need to get it legalized in United States. So those are just the cost of the person that will help you get in the FBI, then with the legalization, the couriers and everything. I think that sometimes is less expensive that you take an airplane ticket and go back home.
Because of what they're going to charge you.
Yes, maybe with the Pensionado Visa, because if, for example, you receive Social Security, you can get it legalized here in Panama. Just you will be working just with the criminal report. That is the document that you will need, and maybe it's not so expensive. But for example, if you are married, you also will need a recent marriage certificate from,
Right.
in this case, from United States, and that is more complicated also to get it if you are not here.
And that's why it's good to contact Kathyel while you're still in the States.
Yes.
So she can tell you what documents that you need and you can start working on that before you get to Panama because it's going to save you some money, a lot of money. All right, so let's go to the next one. How long does the residency process typically take from start to finish?
Okay. If we said that you have already the documents and that you are ready with the requirements and everything, and you arrive in Panama, depending on the process, for example, with the Pensionado Visa, it could take in between 4 and 6 months. The same with the Friendly Nations Visa, but taking in consideration that with the Pensionado Visa, you will get the permanent residency, that same year in those 4 or 6 months. With the Friendly Nations Visa, you will get, remember, first a provisional card of 2 years, and then when these 2 years are going to expire, then you apply for the permanent residency. That means that with the other residency permits, there is like a 3 years window to get the permanent residency. That doesn't mean that you need to be in Panama during all those 3 years. If you want, of course, that's the best. But if that's not possible because, I don't know, you are planning to get this residency permit as a plan B for the future, or for whatever reason you are planning to do that, the important is that you can visit the country. The law says that you need to be in Panama at least once every 2 years. To be honest, I recommend that you visit Panama once a year because you never know what can happen. For example, we don't want to remember when, but a few years when we will have COVID, we have many clients that their 2 years were going to expire when the COVID begins. And you know that where all the airports and everything close and you cannot travel. But the good thing is that the immigration office understood the situation and make extensions and allow you to visit Panama later and that kind of things. But to avoid any possible problem, I think the best is that you can visit Panama at least once every year.
Is there a certain number of days you need to stay, Kathyel, when you come visit?
To be honest, there is not a specific. We recommend, because of the practice, at least 3 days.
Okay. All right.
But hey, stay at least a week.
Okay, let's go with the next one. Is there a minimum income requirement for residency programs?
Well, for example, for the Pensionado Visa, you need to be receiving a pension of at least $1,000 just for a person, and we are talking about American dollars. Okay. So, for example, if you use other currency, it's important that at the moment you do the exchange of currency, it gets to the $1,000. If you are planning to include a spouse, a dependent, then you need to that pension at $250. So, for example, a couple would need a pension of at least $1,250. If that's not possible, because we have situations that the main applicant received just, for example, 1,100, but he or she wants to include his spouse in the application, there is the option that the main applicant opens a bank account in Panama. And that way, he can include his dependent in the application, even if they don't get to the $1,250.
Got it. Okay.
So that is a good option also.
Okay. We have a question. I want to put this one up here. Please tell me this is from Fred. Please tell me what the attorneys charge for assisting one person in obtaining a Pensionado Visa. Also, does she offer assistance with opening a bank account and obtaining a Panama driver's license?
Okay, for one person, between legal fees and expenses, the Pensionado Visa can be around $2,000. Of course, with the bank account, we can make an introduction with a bank if you need it. The good thing is that more banks in Panama are willing to open bank account to tourists, and that way, you have more options. But if not, we can also make an introduction with some banks in Panama. And in regards with the driver's license is a personal process. You need the requirements here in Panama. You will obtain them here. What you need to have an immigration card. It can be a temporal, a permanent, the cédula, but you need to have an immigration status. You need to have a driver's license valid for your country of origin. And the other requirements are that you do a test here, a lab test to know your blood type and that kind of things. Why I say that this is a personal process? Because For example, for American citizens, you need to certify a copy of your driver's license, and you need to go in person to your embassy here in Panama so they can do that. Once they do that, that document needs to go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In that step, we can assist you doing that verification. And once you have that, then you can go to the traffic office in Panama to get your driver's license. Usually, the traffic office doesn't want third parties with the applicant. That's why I mentioned that it is sometimes complicated that we can say that we go with you. But don't worry, the traffic office here in Panama, thanks God, they are, friendly. They are willing to help people. And for example, you need to make an appointment with them online. We can help you with that if you cannot get it. But for example, the pensionado doesn't need an appointment. You just can directly go to the traffic office once you have all the requirements.
Got it. Okay. All righty. Can Social Security income qualify someone for residency?
Yes, and it's the best one. Yes, because Panama is used to the Social Security letters.
Okay.
So they are, when they see, they know that this is a
Lifetime.
lifetime pension, that
Yes.
that's what they are looking for. For all the countries, I have to say, they request that the letter says that the pension is for lifetime. With Social Securities, they make the exception. But for example, I have many clients that also are, for example, veterans or from military, and their offices can prepare them letters that says that the pension is for lifetime, so they will not have problems. Also, we can send you an example if you need it of the letter, so you can, to the office that you work with Social Security or veterans or etc. We can give you an example of the letter that you need for example, for the Pensionado Visa.
Awesome. I think we talked a little bit about this, but what is the Pensionado Visa and who qualifies for it?
Well, as we're talking, the Pensionado Visa is for everyone that is receiving a pension of at least $1,000.
And it doesn't matter your age, right?
No, it doesn't matter the age. But I have to say that it's important that if you are too young, that in that case, if the pension is not from Social Security,
Right.
that it says that is for lifetime.
Okay. So what if it's a like a veteran that was getting disability and they're like 30 years old or something?
Yes, the thing with the disability letters, that their wording is different, but they have, for example, something that says you are considered to be completely disabled due to your blah blah blah. If it says so and it says yes, and for example, other part that says that you are like 100% disabled, there are wordings that the immigration office is looking for.
Okay.
It's not that by sure if you don't have that, they are not going to accept. But if you want to be sure that the application will be accepted and approved, that's why it's important that we can review in advance, so we can tell you, okay, this is exactly what they're looking for. Yes, this is the wording or not. Let's see if we can get to this,
Got it. Okay. We already talked about that one. Do applicants need to visit Panama multiple times during the process?
Well, we need you at least 3 times here in Panama. A first time to start the process. To start the process, we need you with the requirements ready, of course. our recommendation always is that if you only say, hey, I don't have too much time to stay, which is the minimum I can stay? I will tell you 10 days or 2 weeks if possible.
This is
We
for
can,
the initial application.
yes, this is to start
Yeah.
the process, submit the application, and get the temporary immigration card of 6 months. But
Okay.
what I say 10 days or 2 weeks, usually, yes, we can do the process in less time. Let's say a week. But it's important to have to take always in consideration that if something happened out of our hands, I don't know, there goes the system in the immigration office, or something's happened and the immigration office didn't open because, I don't know, for any reason, there's a day that we will be missing. And if we only count with the 5 days, we will be tight. It's better, if possible, that you have some days to play.
Okay.
Of course, we will do everything before you leave, you know. But that
Right.
way, if something happened, you know, hey, oh, imagine that you planning to be here 5 days, and in the middle it's like, oh, something's happening, and they're not taking pictures in the immigration office, and you're like,
Right.
oh, what I'm gonna do? I have to change ticket or not.
Right.
It's better, to if possible, to be here
Allows
8 days
some extra
or
time.
something,
Okay.
so you can, if something happened, you are relaxed because you have a few days more to do your process.
Got it. That makes sense. We had
And
another
so sorry,
question.
I say a first time to start the process. Then once the process
Right.
is ready, you need to return
To
to
get your
get to
temporary
get
car.
the or the provisional card of 2 years, or the permanent card.
Got it.
And then a third time, when is the time to get the cedula. Well, we talk about cedulas, is the popular name, but at the end, it's a permanent card, it's a permanent
Right.
residency card, just that is issued by other government office. That is the Tribunal Electoral, that is the entity that gives the ID cards to all Panamanians. So
Right.
that will give you an ID number, a Panamanian ID number, and that's why also this card is called cedula, that is the name of the ID card for Panamanians.
Yeah. Here's mine right here. I'm hiding my number. And we just had a question about the e-cedula card from
Okay.
Fred. In order to ask for the Pensionado discounts, do you show your e-cedula, or how do you prove that you are eligible?
If you have the age, as we were talking, you are a 55 woman or 60 old years man, with your cedula is good enough. But we have people that apply for the Pensionado Visa and they don't have the age. If they want the discounts, they need to show their Pensionado card that says that they are pensionado, jubilado, so they can receive the discounts.
And I think, Fred, I think it depends on where you're at. Because when I lived in Panama, some of the restaurants will, say they would need the card because they would need to write your number down, or, do something like that. So, and especially if you're getting airline tickets, you're definitely going to have to show your card to get the discount for the airline tickets. So it's better to have it than not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go to the next question. Oh, okay, here's a good one. How long can Americans stay in Panama as tourists right now?
Well, at the moment, Americans and Canadians can stay 180 days, like 6 months. Just take in consideration that you stay as a tourist. But
Yes.
if you plan to drive in Panama, you feel like it's crazy, but it is what it is. The traffic office only will give you the first 90 days to drive. So yes, you can stay for 6 months, but you will only be able to drive as a tourist for the first 90 days, for the first 3 months.
Oh,
That is important to take in consideration.
So does that mean after those 90 days you can't drive?
Mm-mm. You cannot drive. You will be fine.
Wow. So
Mhm.
basically you because if you're staying in a country longer than the 90 days and still driving, that's a fine.
Yes,
Wow.
the thing is that the traffic law only give that time for foreigners for all the
Okay.
countries, but
Mm-hmm.
immigration do the extension just for tourists, just for Americans and Canadians. And as this was
Okay.
just an exception, the traffic office said, no, we are not
Mhm.
going to make the exception.
Gotcha.
So that's the only situation here. I have clients that they say, "Oh, I don't care because I will be just using Uber, and
Right.
that's
Mm-hmm.
fine for me." But for example, if you are going to live outside the city, you usually will need a
Yes,
car.
that's true.
So this is important to take in consideration. So
Mhm.
if you're going to be as a tourist, take in consideration that you may need to leave Panama. Uh, you know, if you want to drive, you
Right.
will need to leave Panama after the first 90 days. And then once you return, your tourist visa will start over again. And of course, your 90 days to drive as a tourist will start.
Gotcha.
Also, that's why it's important that once you start an immigration process here in Panama, you get uh, the Panamanian driver's license.
Right. Okay. Now, can you speak a little bit about, because I know some people, um, what are the, I guess, consequences of not getting your visa and like coming for the 6 months and leaving for a short time and coming back and doing that like multiple times? What do you call it? Border hopping.
Okay, we don't recommend that you do that too long. We know that there's people that do it, and that
Mhm.
that they say, "Why I will get that if I can be just traveling like
Mhm.
that?" I think that you can do that maybe for a year. Meanwhile, you decide if Panama is for you, and
Mhm.
until you get to maybe uh, I don't know, you find the place where you want to live, or the place where you want to invest, or anything. But I don't recommend that you keep doing that for years,
Mhm.
because there can be a point, or there can be the date that at the airport the immigration officer stops you and say,
Mhm.
"Hey, I'm seeing you that you have been doing this for 5 years.
Mhm.
Why you haven't applied for residency?" It's because, I don't know, you have something in your criminal report, or there's
Mhm.
because they are going to maybe going deep.
Right.
Hey, maybe it will not happen anything,
Mhm.
but why you want to take the chance? As I say,
Ex-
maybe you can stay like that a year, maybe 2 years, but the best is that you do that for a period of time that allow you to see if
Right.
Panama is the country for you, if you are willing to invest here in Panama, and
Mhm.
and that way then start a process.
Got it. Okay. We had a question from, she wants to know how much, um, how, this is from, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Halvi. How much should a senior budget to complete the requirements for the Pensionado Visa once they move to Panama besides their Social Security? What maybe does she? Maybe she wants to know: is she going to have any other expenses besides processing for the visa?
Well, if you plan to move to Panama as a pensionado, besides the expenses for the process, the legal fees and the cost of the cards, there are any additional. Panama is not going to request you to pay taxes or anything of that.
Mhm.
The important is that you have your money to live in Panama.
Yeah.
Panama requests a minimum of 1,000 because they think that you can live with that here in Panama. Well,
Mhm.
and That's all. They are not going to request you to pay anything. Once your process has finished and you are a permanent resident, you are not required to pay any additional fees to the government or anything like that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add on to that as far as your budget to complete the requirements. Initially, like Kathyel recommended you stay for about 10 days. So you need to budget how much the hotel is going to cost for you for those particular days. You need to budget for your food. So those are some things that, and your airfare. So those are some things you need to put in consideration when you're processing for the visa as well. And even when you have to come back to get your card, you need to budget again for your airfare and how long you have to stay in Panama. All of these things, if you don't plan on staying through the duration, if you're going to come back and forth, you're going to have to budget for those things as well. Okay, let's go to, see, I think we talked about that. I think we kind of hit on this. I think we talked about, I think somebody had a question about this. Can foreigners open bank accounts in Panama easily today?
Well, let's say that more easy than a few years ago. Because a few years ago, there was some point that the banks only want foreigners, that already have their residency status in Panama.
Mhm.
But now there are more banks that are willing to open bank accounts to foreigners. They will tell you
without the residency?
yes, but they're going to tell you that at some point they will like that you are a resident or show some, at some point. Among the requirements that they are asking is your passport, a second ID like driver's license, and it's very important. They're going to ask you your income proof. That usually what they like is the two last tax returns, or in the case of the people that receive pension, and for example they don't do that anymore, you can use your pension letter as a proof of your income.
Got it.
But that is very important. All the banks are going to request you a proof of income to open a bank account.
Right. Okay. Here's a good question. Can someone legally work in Panama after getting residency?
Well, mostly of the residency permits give the option to apply for a work permit. It's not automatical. You need to apply for the work permit. And first, you need to have an immigration status. But I have a bad news, is that pensionados are not allowed to work in Panama. You cannot get a work permit. So this is important to take in consideration, because I have clients that at the beginning say, oh, no, don't worry. I'm planning to retire, the beach and that. And a few years later, oh, I am bored. I want to work. So it's important that you have to take that in consideration.
Right.
Because in Panama, you will not be able, first, you will not be able to apply for a work permit. And then if you decide to work and be in an office and work, you can be fined, and also the office that hires you will be fined.
Got it. Okay, here's a good question. Can you mail your paperwork to the lawyer prior to coming to Panama to make sure you have everything you need?
Okay, this is what I usually do with my clients. I like that they send me copies by email first, so I can review it. For example, with a copy of your passport, because it's very important that the documents, that your name in the document match with your name in your passport. That I know in United States, for example, that is not so important, but if my name is Kathyel Ferguson, in my passport, in my pension letter, and my criminal report should appear Kathyel Ferguson. It's not
Right.
like Maria Ferguson, and it's not, no, I typically known as Kathyel, but that doesn't appear in my passport. No, the documents
Right.
must match. So that's why I like to review the document in advance to see that kind of details that maybe you don't know, but I know, and that way I can review them. Once I confirm you that they are fine, I will tell you, okay, then you can proceed and take them to legalize, by the apostille or by a Panamanian consulate, as we talked before. And
Right.
then is the decision when you tell me, okay, Kathyel, I am planning to go to Panama and I want to stay the less time possible. Okay. At that time, I tell you, okay, courier me the documents before you arrive in Panama, because
Right.
these documents needs to be prepared. They need to
Mhm.
be translated by an official translator. If they go to a
Mhm.
Panamanian consulate, they need to go here to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So there are some previous steps that
Mhm.
needs to be done with the documents. So if you're planning to stay for a short period of time, we need to receive the document at least 1 or 2 weeks before you arrive here. If you tell me, no, Kathyel, I'm planning to stay there a month, you can bring the document with you without a problem. And, once you arrive here, meet and start with the process. All will depend on your timeline here in Panama.
Got it. All right. I want to get, since we're talking about working, I want to get her question right here. It says, my husband is retired and receive a pension, but I still work as a teacher. Will I still be able to work after I get residency under my husband's Pensionado Visa?
But you will be a teacher in United States. The work permit is in Panama. Is that you will not be able to get a work permit. If you in United States continue working, that's another thing.
Right.
Of course, you can continue doing that. But if you plan to, for example, teach in Panama and you come under your pensionado visa of your husband, you will not be able to get it because you are applying with the pensionado. And the thing with the pensionado is that you get some exemptions and also
Mm-hmm.
your dependents. For example, you don't pay government fees.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, uh, Panama say, okay, you're come here to relax, to do your pension and to retire. So I will take you that out, but then you are not able to get, incomes or work
Right.
here in Panama because I'm already giving you that exception.
Right. So you cannot work in Panama, but if it's like a US teaching job, or what about an online teaching with to another
Well,
company?
until the moment, there are no problems online because
Mhm.
it's online.
Right.
But the main problem is that you want to get a work, in a business, in an office, in a
Got
place
it.
that you need to go from 8 to 5.
Right. Got it.
So there you will find a problem.
Right. So you cannot get a job in Panama with a Pensionado Visa, period.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's go to this one. Can residency eventually lead to permanent residency or citizenship? So I guess if you're temporary or you're resident e-scheduler, can that eventually lead to citizenship?
Okay, once you get the e-cedula, you can wait 5 years and apply for the Panamanian citizenship. But I have to say that this process is not easy
Mm-hmm.
because it's a long process. It will take
Mm-hmm.
years. You need
Mm-hmm.
to speak Spanish.
Mm.
And Panama is requesting that when you apply, you have been here in Panama.
Ah, gotcha.
uh, they are seeing all that things that maybe is not established specifically in the law, but when you have, because you apply and you have immediately a first interview, and on that they
Mm-hmm.
are going to tell you, oh, but what you are doing in Panama, blah blah blah. If you are not, for example, If you are not a pensionado and you are under other residency permit, they are going to request you proof of income, what you have been doing here,
I
that you have
gotcha.
do tax returns, that you have bank
Okay.
accounts, and they are
Okay.
going to see all of that. And let's say
Mm-hmm.
that you get to all of that, then the interviews are going to be in Spanish without the lawyer. It's just you and the officer.
Wow.
And let's say that you go through that,
Mhm. Right.
then you need to wait. We have cases that, the best scenario,
Mm-hmm.
3 years, but
Wow.
we have cases of people that 7 years waiting for the
Waiting for
citizenship.
citizenship 7 years?
Mhm.
Whew.
So yes.
Wow. So that's, well, okay,
So
so
as it's not impossible,
yeah.
but as I say to my clients, at the
Mhm.
end, the main requirement is patience.
Wow, that's a lot of patience. Okay. Okay, so we're back to the young lady who had a question about the getting a Pensionado visa with her husband. Now she says I have applied for a teaching job in Panama. So it sounds like we should have different visas. So she is
Yes.
applying for a teaching job, and I guess he's gonna be getting a Pensionado visa.
Okay. I assume uh, you're American citizen, as I am just assuming. If that's the case, um, the friendly nation visa allows you to apply through a work permit or through a working, that you find a job here in Panama. So that way, if the company, or in this case, the school, hires you, they make you a formal agreement and everything. Um, you can apply for the Friendly Nations visa because this school is including you in their payroll and everything. And of course, I assume that this school is registered in Panama, and
Mhm.
that way they are hiring you, and that way you can apply for a residency permit. If you really are willing to apply or continue working, I think the best is that you apply independently from your husband, because that way you by sure be able to work in this school, or you know in the other work that you would like to.
Got it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. Are there any major immigration changes people should be aware of right now?
Well, there have not been change in the law in the last years.
Mm-hmm.
We're not expecting to have something in the short future, but I have to say that since last year, the immigration office is requesting that everyone that is a permanent resident that live in Panama, if they move from the domicile that they use for when they
That's what I
start
heard.
their
Yes.
immigration process, they
Mm-hmm.
update this information with them, that they notify that they have moved. If you don't do this in a term of 30 days, they will fine you. And if you continue practicing this in the future, it could
Uh-huh.
be the time that they deny or they cancel the residency status. Mm.
So the address that like, say you move into an apartment,
Uh-huh.
and then if you
To
move to a
another
new
apartment.
apartment, within 30 days you have to notify them. And how do you do that, Kathyel? Is that like?
Well, they in the past, until a few months, you need
Mm-hmm.
to go in person and submit. For example, if you were renting, the
Mm-hmm.
rental agreement and the
Mm-hmm.
an utility bill.
Right.
Now they, like 1 or 2 months ago, they opened a link in their website where you can do this online.
You can attach the documents. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay. Oh, here's a good one. What are the biggest mistakes you see foreigners make during the immigration process?
Well, not is during the immigration process, but is before.
Okay. Okay.
Because once you start, eh, the process should go smooth.
Okay, I got
But
it.
the big
Right.
mistake is not contacting a lawyer before you come to Panama. It's important that you are aware. Once you decide what you want to do, you contact a lawyer that can confirm you that yes, you can do this, that you need this, and that
Right.
the documents are fine. So once you arrive
Right.
here, you don't get the surprise that all what you have is not good enough to start the
Right.
process and you lose
Right.
money.
Right. Sure do. So we will be sharing the link for you guys to get in contact with Kathyel. That's one of the most important things, is to contact her before you get to Panama, because if you wait until you already get to Panama, it's going to be more expensive to get your documents, and some of the things might have to, you might have to get from the US, and you might have to fly back and get it anyway. So it's going to cost you more money.
Yes, it will take you time. It takes more time and money if you arrive here without the documents or with the documents that are not good, incorrect.
Got it. Yeah. Um, okay. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but we will find out. This guy, somebody's an artist. As an artist, am I able to sell my art in a gallery without a work permit?
Wow, this is a new question.
I know.
Well, I assume that is if you are an artist and you put your art in a gallery, it's not that you're going to be next to your art all day in the gallery. I assume that you are going to give it to the gallery, and the gallery is going to show it and sell it. So I think that you will not need a work permit for that, okay, unless you tell me, no, I'm planning to be there in the art gallery all day sitting.
Standing there holding the art. Yeah.
That's another thing.
Got it. So it sounds like if someone is showcasing your art, then it sounds like you're good. Okay, I think we are wrapping up. Oh, okay. We're going to wrap up. What advice would you give someone who is serious about moving to Panama?
Well, as we were talking before, uh, my best advice, that is like the big mistake that people do, is not contact someone in advance that assists you, that you don't get here, like surprise. I even recommend, if you can come to Panama first, to visit and see if Panama is for you and you want to invest. Because even if you don't buy, just investing in, for example, the Pensionado Visa is money that you are investing in Panama. So if I always recommend, if you can make a short trip to Panama and see if Panama is for you, I'm sure it will be. But if you can see it with your eyes and feel the environment and everything, I think it's also a good idea. And in the worst case scenario, and you say, no, I see everything and by internet, and Panama is the country where I want to go, then contact a person that can assist you, a trustable person that can say
Yes.
you honestly, you can do this, you cannot do this, these requirements are the ones that you need, so you can be prepared once you arrive in Panama.
And I just want to say this, that all lawyers are not created equally. I had a girlfriend that ended up, she didn't use Kathyel. She used another attorney that charged her almost 3 times the amount and didn't even give her an e-scheduler. Matter of fact, she didn't even know what an e-scheduler was. So they took a lot of money from her and, didn't even complete the process. So it's very important to make sure you're with a trusted attorney, and Kathyel is that. So,
Thank you. I know, and it's
so,
sad that we have that. Well, I assume we have that kind of persons in all the countries that take
mhm,
advantage of people.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So you can look, also for reviews and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and find a person that you. I have to say that now, internet is helping a lot,
Yes.
and you can find out if a person is have good reviews or not, or
Mm-hmm.
that's why also this kind of conversations are good, because also you can see us, um,
Yes.
take a look at the videos, review it, and then contact us if you have more questions, and that
Mm-hmm.
way you will feel more comfortable with all the process.
Okay, does anybody have any more questions? We're going to be wrapping up, and we're so sorry we got started a little late, but we had some technical difficulties, but we stayed with it and we worked it. We worked it out. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today, Kathy. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Once again, everybody, I'm going to be pinning the link in the comments, and it'll also be in the description, and it'll also be in our Facebook community, Black Women Expats in Panama, and also in our global community, BWE, Black Women Expats. So if you're in those groups, you'll get the information as well. And if for whatever reason you can't find the link, you can always reach out to me on social media. You guys know how to find me, and I'll make sure we get the link to you so you can have direct contact with Kathyel, and she can help you in your immigration progress. So I'm going to sign off. I don't see any more questions, but we thank you so much for joining us live. And oh, I had a quick something I forgot to share really quick. Put the word
Okay.
Panama. If you're joining us live, put the word Panama in the comments and you'll be eligible. I'm giving away 2 free t-shirts. I'm giving away 2 of these free
Whoa.
shirts. So put the word Panama if you are joining us live, and I will do a raffle, and I'll do a quick video to show who won, and then I'll give you my contact information and I can get the shirt to you. All right. So thank you so much for Kathyel. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend, you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great
Thank
day.
you. Bye.
Bye. How do I end? Okay, it's stream.